The internet is supposed to be sort of a mecca for democracy. It's supposed to be an arena where people from different backgrounds, different income groups can all come together regardless of their differences and espouse their ideas in a free way. In this article, however, Cass Sunstein makes the case that the internet isn't actually as big of a vehicle of democracy as we might think. He makes the case that essentially we each form our own daily me's, meaning that we filter the content that we see on the internet, and we filter in such a way that it appeals to our own ideals and our own preferences, thus reinforcing those preferences and limiting our exposure to other ideas. Again, he calls this the daily me, meaning that, every time you open up a homepage, you've personalized your homepage to suit what you want to see. And he also feels that this leads to a sort of group polarization, which means that you're gonna more strongly identify with those who share your ideas, and as time goes on, identifying with those people over the internet and limiting your exposure to other ideas that you might get, say if you watch CNN all day, will lead to sort of radicalism. I agree with Sunstein's assertion that there is a lot of danger in the idea of group polarization and in the daily me. I certainly know that myself, I personalize the news stories I read, I personalize my home pages, my Facebook, and I know that this can definitely lead to a lot of problems in the future if the internet develops in such a way wherein people only expose themselves to ideas that they already espouse. On the other hand, though, I think that used properly, the internet is and can be a great vehicle for the democratic process. For example, if you are the type of person who's so inclined to seek out someone else's opinions on the internet, then it's really the perfect forum for a true and open debate. And even though it's not a true public forum, as might be defined by the courts, it's not a sidewalk or a park, it really is a great public forum where people can have an honest discussion. The real question is then, according to Sunstein, is how do we prevent polarization through the internet, and how do we make the internet a true public forum? And he presents several solutions. One of them is government subsidies, like PBS, perhaps for like a government-run media site. He talks about censorship, and he talks about self-regulation or requiring websites to post links to alternative viewpoints. And I disagree with the idea that the internet should be regulated in this way. I feel that that kind of undermines the idea of what the internet is there for. And so I think that as a free and democratic society, we should be intellectual enough to seek out others' ideals and ideas and try to grow ourselves in that way. And if we can't do that, then it's a shame for our society, but I certainly don't think it's government's responsibility or anyone's responsibility to regulate the internet that way. There are many ways that I think that technology is both good and bad. Just cite a couple examples. The first I want to talk about is with smartphones, and smartphones are certainly good because they put the internet and games and apps and all these things in the palm of your hand, which, I mean, certainly is very useful if you want to look something up on Wikipedia on the go, or if you want to check your emails on the go, or check the score of a baseball game, or what have you. But on the other hand, I think that becomes a huge distraction in a lot of cases. Certainly, I know that if I'm bored, or even find myself in a lull, that like I'll pull out my phone and start playing the game or looking something up on the internet. And while having that ability is a good thing, it also, I think, creates this sort of ADD amongst people who become so used to having that around them all the time. A second example of a way that technology can be both good and bad is Facebook. I think that Facebook is very good in a lot of ways, having the ability to stay in contact with people, and even just follow their lives, see what they're up to. Certainly a huge benefit of Facebook and social networking in general. But a way that it's bad is that it again kind of creates this sort of ADD where people are always drawn to it, and like if you're bored, you click your bookmark for Facebook and you go and you scroll through your newsfeed and see what everyone's doing. And on top of that, it becomes a distraction, I think, from real life. I think that people start living in Facebook, and it maybe takes away some of the personal touch of actually calling someone up and going and having coffee with them, which, again, obviously, if you're friends with 1,000 people on Facebook, you're not about to do that with all your friends, and in that way, Facebook's good. But, maybe if you didn't have that, you would be more inclined to go do something in the real world with people where it might be more meaningful than just having that interaction online.